lost all of my love and my sanity. Vanity told me I'm too hard to handle. Dismantle any opposition, quit playing with me. Brothers hella lame, how they get their name? Israelites lacking integrity. Politics made it to Israel, but it's not spiritual. Why can't I let them get next to me? Chef in the kitchen, he cooking. These niggas trying to steal a recipe. Look at my weaponry, that is my specialty. Lion of Zion, a beautiful pedigree. Repping my legacy. If I got a body rappers, then Mac, he gon' be the accessory. Judah the gang, and I'm repping it heavily. Vocals the same, but I got a new melody. I'm from the bottom of Rebel to Gruffer Street. Haters, they hate me, they really be repping me. Yeah, they really be repping me. I went to war for some brothers who never had love and they heart or respect for me. Gates told me go where they celebrate it, they don't just tolerate your gifts. Christ told me shake the dust off your feet and take your peace with you when you dip. Made it out of a city where plenty crashed. We never had nothing, we needed cash. Feds gave us Archaeological, we didn't know better. We turned it to Lenny Crab. Should've got yards running from my past, but the Lord made a way when he threw the flag. Beat the case, but I blew the bag. Did it bare face, we don't do the mask. Not Protestant, Jesuit, Lutheran, nah, we don't do the mass. I just be watching they movement and how they maneuvering, slithering through the grass. Who gon' pity for the snake charm? Put them in the bag, shake the snake on them. It's never about who your haters, it's always about how much money you making on them. Put your riches in the most high, that's the best flip for the best price. Cash in with your house shy, I'ma die once, I'ma live twice. Balls mean, but my flow nice. Rep 12, not the pole lights. Chef, he the light of the world, I'm trying to keep all of my babies from pole light.
You die once, but you live twice. Please don't get left, you'll have no rights. Me and Chef steam like ball rice. This be getting 8 like 4 twice. A European get your soul right. They don't hear me though like no mic. How they supposed to know like no advice? Children of the light like no night.
Got me feeling like Ricky Bobby up in Talladega. I'm on the road, feel like I'm on fire. Holding it down till I see the Messiah. Dripping in gold, you see the attire. Dripping in gold, you see the attire. I say it twice for those I inspire. Make it a third for all of the liars.
Please do not treat this like entertainment, man, I pray you don't. This a cry for your soul. Renew your thinking and rearrange it, man, I pray you do. Cause the kingdom's a goal. They're really tricking for little payments, making money moves, but you losing your soul. How y'all be thinking, be aggravating? I'm not spelling that like I'm losing my nose. We gotta represent, children is watching. We see with the ruach, the spirit is watching. Me and Chef at the back, we did the way that we flipping this heat, man, it feel like hibachi. Killing these demons with pain is my doctrine. I'm bobbing and weaving, it feel like I'm boxing. I want the kingdom of heaven, the mysteries that are spoken of in 2 Colossians.
Yeah. Die once, live twice. Yeah.
Die once, live twice. Shalom, shalom, shalom. You're tuned in to Controversial and Deep Biblical Breakdown series, sponsored by the Scoring Black Man Podcast. I'm your host, Zadok Israel. Shalom, family out there. Hit that like and subscribe button ASAP. You're getting ready to get a good show in tonight. I got my co-host in the house, Brother Don Yehuda from Fire Talk Radio. Go over there and hit that subscribe button at Fire Talk Radio Podcast. And our special guest, the one, the only. She really needs no introduction, but we're going to give her one anyway. Oh, I think her thing fell off. But we got Queen Naphtali in the building once again, ready to do another controversial and deep biblical breakdown. And today's show is called Queen Naphtali, the differences between the Israelites and the children of Israel. And I'm very, very eager to see where she's going to go with this tonight. But until she come back on, y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so we can get it out here. Get this, get it spread it out so everybody can see this thing live, living in color. And if they don't see it live, living in color, they can run it back. Good brother Don Yehuda, how you doing this evening, brother?
I'm doing good, bro. Almost didn't make it, almost overslept, but I could not miss tonight's episode. Very interested to see what the queen gonna bring out. You know, when she first mentioned this about a month or so ago, man, I mean, I know it sparked my interest, so I know it sparked everybody else's interest just to see what it was she was going to bring to the table to show the difference between the children of Israel and the Israelites. So definitely can't wait to hear that information.
Most definitely. And here come the queen. She's back in. There she go. Queen, shalom, shalom. How are you
Shalom.
doing, Queen? How are you doing?
Hey, shalom, everybody. Most High bless. I am doing good. How's everybody doing? How are you doing, Hilltop? How you doing, Don Yehuda?
Doing great.
I'm
Thank you for asking.
doing pretty good. Every day above the ground is a good day. It's a good day.
Yes, it
So
is.
once again, the sister, this has been a long-awaited and anticipated show, controversial and deep biblical breakdown series sponsored by the Scoring Black Man podcast. Y'all haven't subscribed to Queen Naphtali channel, go to Naphtali ADUIC New School of Thought. Hit that subscribe button. Check out her content. Hit the thumbs up if you like it. Hit the thumbs down if you don't. It's all good for algorithm. So I know she will enjoy that. But tonight's show is called Queen Naphtali Presents the Differences Between the Israelites and the Children of Israel. And we can't wait for you to get into this presentation. If anything, Brother Don Yehuda, you would like to ask her or the company like to make before she get into her presentation, brother, please feel free to do so. Well, I guess he
my fault. I was having a little bit of technical difficulty. Really, I just wanted to just ask, what was it that kind of just sparked the whole inclination that there was a difference between the two?
Yes. Do you guys hear an echo, or is that just me? Or okay.
I think it's just
yes. So what it is that it's really academia. So when you guys see the presentation, you're going to see where I'm going. So I can't wait to get ready to break this down for you guys. And while I'm going through the presentation, shalom Nguzo, shalom Jason, Beck, Buckley, and Mika. Thank you for coming out with us tonight. Hazel, shalom, Most High bless. Thank you all for coming out with us tonight. Yes, guys. So I'm very excited tonight about this program. I do apologize. It's just been a lot of working and a lot of things interfering with my time. But I'm here tonight, and I'm so glad you guys decided to come in and tune in with us. I just want to give a little background about myself. I am a truth seeker, right? I like to base myself off being a truth seeker and information, uh, you know, uh, truth seeking. I'm not afraid to look into the information and just really making sure that everything lines up, everything is true. And that's who my audience is people who are searching for the truth and not just trying to be in a religion.
right.
Right.
And I feel that myself. I try to
Seeing
just
that
seek out
you
the
have
truth.
been very, very busy. No, go ahead, bro.
No. I was still go ahead, brother.
No, I was just acknowledging that what she said. She's been very busy. There's been interference. We've been seeing you in the trenches. You've been a hot topic, a hot commodity of late. That lets you know you're doing something right, sis. So, keep on your track, keep with your research. Make sure you keep bringing out that information.
Yes, and I thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to bring it to your audience. The information is not the run of the mill. It's not the status quo. Oh, go ahead. Were you saying something? Okay. The information is not the status quo. It's not information that we're used to, right? It's not what everybody teaches. That's why I call it a new school of thought. And I just ask people to give an ear and just take a chance and actually hear it out. So I'm going to get started, right? Because again, I like to look at the independent researchers, right? I like to speak with them, independent thinkers, as well as truth seekers. Okay. So let's get ready and let's get started.
All right, let's go. Here we go.
Once again, the title of the show is Queen Naphtali Presents the Differences Between the Israelites and the Children of Israel. And this is controversial and deep biblical breakdown series sponsored by the Scoring Black Man podcast. Y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Without further ado, Queen Naphtali, the floor is yours.
She's about to send shockwaves through the community with this information. I can guarantee it.
All right. Can you guys hear me? And can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So let me make it large. Oh, shoot. There we go. All right. So the controversy of the name Israelite. So this presentation is going to be based off of the name Israelite. So let's get started. So the chosen people of Israel are known by many names, such as the children of Israel, Hebrews, Jews, and Israelites. And all the names refer to the same people, the nation which came from Abraham through Isaac and Jacob, a nation that was promised and chosen by the Most High in the Old Testament, written in Genesis 12, 1 through 3. Each term emphasizes some aspects of these people's origins or background. However, our identity has been stolen from us by a technicality in a name. Okay? So, the title Children of Israel actually emphasizes our lineage. The children of Israel in the Bible are simply the descendants of Jacob. Now, the term children of Israel emphasizes the lineage of the Hebrew people as being through the patriarch Jacob. The children of Israel are also called Israelites. So I just want to make sure people understand that I do recognize the fact that the children, that we are also called the Israelites, okay? So don't want you guys thinking that that name is made up or anything like that. We are actually called the Israelites, okay? Now I'm going to skip that part and I'm going to go down to the bottom. It says the children of Israel became the most common term for the Israelites in the Bible. It's used in a contrast reminder of the faithfulness and power of the Most High. It says the Most High who formed the nations of Israel has been faithful to keep his promises to the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and his great power has been on display through our history, essentially. All right, so what am I speaking on here? So the name, the title Children of Israel actually validates us. It actually emphasizes more on our lineage. One thing we can note here is from the Blue Letter Bible. According to the Blue Letter Bible, Children of Israel, the exact phrase is found 600 times in the Bible, okay? 600 times in the Bible. So in the King James Version, to be exact. So with that understanding, this actually is the true name because the children, that is the name that we're recognized as more and is spoken more in the scriptures, okay? 600 times. Now, according to the Blue Letter Bible, Israelites only appears 4 times in the scriptures. This is according to Blue Letter, okay? So don't kill the messenger if you find more, but that's what they're saying. Now, according to the word Israelites with the S on the end, we see it appears 18 times. So we see children of Israel is up, at about 600. And we only see Israelite or Israelites about 22 times in the Bible, okay? So let's keep going. So we also have to remember that there was a confederacy against the children of Israel. That was in Psalms 83. Now, I want to make an emphasis on a demographic of people, and that would be the Canaanites. This conversation will be about the Canaanites because the Canaanites are actually our number one enemy, right? And a lot of people do not speak on the Canaanites enough because, we know we speak on the Hamites and generalize the Hamites, but it's really the Canaanites, okay? Because when you see this confederacy, it says that the tabernacles of Edom, and we know that Esau intermarried with the Canaanites. We see Ishmael, he married into Edom. We see Moab married into the Canaanites. And then we see Gibel, which are actual Canaanites. And then we see Tyre, which were actually Canaanites. And then we see Ammon and Amalek. Amalek were actually descendants and offsprings between Moab and the Canaanites, as well as Esau and the Canaanites. That's with Amalek, right? So let's just keep going. So in the Hebrew Bible, the term Israelites is used interchangeably with the term 12 tribes of Israel. Although related, the terms Hebrews, Israelites, and Jews are not interchangeable in all instances. Israelites refer to the people whom the Hebrew Bible describes specifically as the direct descendants of any of the sons of the patriarch Jacob, and his descendants as the people who are also collectively called Israel, including converts. So I'm going to stop the show right there. This is what the big deal about the name Israelite is because it has become an umbrella term, umbrella name that actually includes converts to our belief, to the worship and the faith and worship of our God of Israel, right? Now, many people probably don't know that, but that is indeed true. Israelite, now not the children of Israel. Remember, the children of Israel emphasizes on our direct descent, our direct line to Jacob. Whereas Israelites is a broadened term that also includes converts. Now, with that understanding, the Israelite name has also been corrupted. How is that? So when we keep going down, it says, based on the archaeological evidence, and I'm reading right here, it says, according to modern archaeologists' accounts, the Israelites and their culture did not overtake the region by force, but instead branched out of the indigenous Canaanite peoples that long inhabited the southern Levant, Syria, ancient Egypt, ancient Israel, and the Transjordan region. So right here, the Israelites are said to have branched out of the Canaanites. Now, when I speak to many people, they're quick to tell me that the Israelites are the Canaanites. Now, based off of this definition, the converts are to the Israelites are include converts, right? And now they're saying that the Israelites, and then we look at the name Israel and with the ites at the end, they're putting them with the Canaanites. But you know what name they're not putting with the Canaanites, and that is the children of Israel. They're not putting that name with the Canaanites, right? But that's still not right. They still should not put Israelite with the Canaanites, but that's what they're doing. So here we go. They say through a gradual evolution of distinct monotheistic, later a monotheistic religion centered on Yahweh. Now they said the outgrowth of Yahweh-centered monotheism from Canaanites polytheism started with Yahwism. So we know Yahweh don't have anything to do with us, but they're linking it to the Canaanites. They said the belief in the existence of many gods and goddesses of the Canaanite pantheon. So they say here, according to the religious narrative of the Hebrew Bible, the Israelites' origin is traced back to the biblical patriarchs and matriarchs Abraham and his wife, through Isaac and his wife Rebekah, and their son Jacob, who was later called Israel. And now that is according to the biblical narrative. But if we keep reading, they're going to tell us that the Israelites have Canaanite origins. They say consensus on modern scholars. Now the consensus of modern scholars is that the Bible does not give an accurate account of the origins of the Israelites. There is no indication that the Israelites ever lived in ancient Egypt, and the Sinai Peninsula shows almost no sign of any occupation for the entire second millennia. Where the Israelites are said to have spent 38 years was inhabited prior to the establishment of the Israelite monarchy. In contrast to absence of evidence for the Egyptian captivity and wilderness wandering, there are ample signs that Israel evolution within Canaan with the native Canaanite roots. So right here, they're pretty much rewriting the Bible and giving us the fact that the Canaanites come out of the Israelites. Now, it says a century of research by archaeologists and Egyptologists have found no evidence which can be directly related to the Exodus, captivity, and the escape and travels through the wilderness. Archaeologists generally agree that the Israelites had Canaanite origins. The culture of the earliest Israelite settlements is Canaanite. Their cult objects are those of the Canaanite god El. The pottery remains are in the Canaanite tradition, and the alphabet used is early Canaanite. Almost the sole markers distinguish the Israelites' village from the Canaanites' sites is an absence of pig bones So let's talk about this real quick because I know I'm going through it kind of fast, so I'm gonna slow down. So pretty much all these archaeologists and these so-called scholars are trying to say that the children of Israel, well, the Israelites, they're not using the children of Israel, but they're saying the Israelites are indeed coming out of the Canaanites, right? So they're saying that we speak the same language. They're saying that we worship the same God. And so we know why the language is similar because the Most High said that in Isaiah that in that time, people will be speaking the language of Canaan. Okay, so that was prophesied that was going to take place, and that's a prophecy that actually took place. That has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that we actually have their language, because in Zephaniah 3 and 9, he's going to restore our language, right? So here we go. So they're saying that we are sharing. Now they're saying these Israelites are sharing the culture of the Canaanites, right? And we know that's not true, but they're using the name Israelite as a as a name because it includes actual converts. So I'm going to showcase some this website here, and it's called Biblical Archaeology Society. And so from this website, they say the Jews and the Arabs are descendant from the Canaanites. Now, I know that we see this, and a lot of people probably have a problem with me saying that they are the descendants of the Canaanites. One reason is probably because they like to believe that us mixing with the Canaanites proves our point. If the Canaanites are black, and we saw how much the children of Israel mixed with the Canaanites, then that means that they're black, right? And if you think about that, yeah, that does kind of make sense. But if we really review it from this perspective, as them being the Canaanites, this actually proves us because we're in the 400-year captivity. And who are the ones who are supposed to be over us? The Canaanites, right? The iniquity of the Canaanites, the Amorites, right? So here we go. So we see the Jews and the Arabs descend from the Canaanites. This is from they say DNA analysis from bodies found at several sites explains more than half of ancestries. So here we have this is from Harrods, Israel News. They say Jews and Arabs share genetic link to the ancient Canaanites. This also means something. They also want this is something new, because for the longest they never said they linked to the Canaanites. They always said that they were the Jews, right? They always said they were Israel. But now, as you see, modern archaeologists are now saying the Israelites are the Canaanites. And another reason why they're saying that is because these people have found out that their DNA actually matches to that of the Canaanites. So now they're trying to rewrite history, right? Now they're trying to ignore the biblical narrative. And remember they were saying that they were from Shem, and they're trying to alienate and eliminate Shem and try to make everything under Canaan, because their DNA goes back to goes back to Canaanites, right? That's the main reason why this is actually taking place. Okay, this is the only reason why this is taking place, because their DNA does not go to where it's supposed to. It's going to the Canaanites. So right here, this is from Harris. They say Jews and Arabs share genetic link to the ancient Canaanites. Study finds today's Jews and Arabs in Israel, Jordan, Lebanon, and parts of Syria get half of their ancestry from the Bronze Age, Levantine, who descended from a mix of local migrants from Iran or the Caucasus. It says most of today's Jewish and Arabic-speaking populations share a strong genetic link to the ancient Canaanites. A study by an international team of archaeologists, geneticists has found these modern-day groups in Israel, Jordan, Lebanon, and parts of Syria share a large part of their ancestry, in most cases more than half. Okay, let's just keep going. They say after examining the DNA of 93 bodies recovered from archaeological sites around the southern Levant, the land of Canaan in the Bible, researchers have concluded that modern populations of the region are descendants of the ancient Canaanites. Most Jewish groups and the Arabic-speaking groups from the region show at least half of their ancestry as Canaanites. All right. So in the study published in Cell in May 2020, the researchers explained that they used existing DNA analysis of 20 individuals from the sites in Israel and Lebanon, and then added 73 more, taking DNA from the bones of individuals found at these sites: Tel Megiddo, Tel Abel, Beth So, and the thing is that also these are actual Canaanite cities. Okay, so the Canaanites had their own cities, and they went into their graveyards and they dug them up and they did their, they excavated their graves and they did a DNA analysis, and it matches them. So I'm going to look at this last bit here. So it says the Canaanite culture was dominant in the southern Levant. We read that part on the first page. Now look at this bottom part. It says the study in Sale not only establishes that the ancient Israelites were descended from the Canaanites, but also establishes that the Canaanite people across the separate city-states of the southern Levant in over a period of 15 years were a genetically cohesive people. So what is important about this this study in Sale, right? What's important is that this whole thing about them being the Canaanites is the reason, like I said before, why they have changed from the Israelites being from the line of Shem to now being from the line of Canaan. All right. And it's because when they did their DNA analysis, they found out that, hey, and I actually have videos of them talking about how a lot of them aren't very happy about that. They're not very happy. They actually tell you that, hey, it's nothing to be proud of. We're not very happy about this, but this is what it is. And the way it is that they have completely rewritten the Bible, but they're supposed to be the children of Israel. But if you're the children of Israel, then how do you eliminate Israel, right? Because they know they're not from Israel, who is Jacob. They're from the Canaanites. And that's why they completely took away the name children of Israel and now are using Israelites. Okay, but let's just keep going. So who are they and where did they come from and how did they get the knowledge of the scrolls? So a lot of people want to say that, well, they're Japheth, or they're the Gentiles, and but the thing is that with that understanding, they know the scrolls, they know the Tanakh, they know a lot of our history that we don't even have anymore. So the question is how did they get the knowledge and how did they get the information? I'm glad you asked. So we're going to talk about the Gibeonites, okay? So the Gibeonites in the Bible actually had tricked Joshua. Remember, they tricked Joshua into thinking that they were some other people. Because remember, they were doing the conquest of Joshua, and they were, doing this. They were doing a genocide. Well, they were, eliminating all the Canaanites, right? They were eliminating them. But the Gibeonites, they changed their name to give the Amorites. The Gibeonites are actually Amorites. They're Canaanites. They actually changed their name and said, "Hey, we're somebody else." So I say this. So how did these Ashkenazi Canaanites, because they're not Jews, they're actually Canaanites because that's where their DNA goes back to, right? How did they get the word? And how did they get it from the Levites? How did they get, the scrolls, and how did they get all this knowledge, right? So the Gibeonites were a group of people who actually were the Canaanites from the Amorites tribes. We find this in 2 Samuel 21:2. I say, yeah, I bet you guys didn't know that the Gibeonites were Amorites who were Canaanites. And the same is said for the modern so-called Jews or Ashkenazis, right? Because their DNA goes back to the Canaanites. They are the Gibeonites who were described in Joshua 9 as people who deceived the children of Israel in order to protect themselves. The Gibeonites were able to make the children of Israel believe they were a people from a faraway place. They were able to persuade the children of Israel to make a covenant and allow the Gibeonites to continue to live. Now, as a peace treaty with the Gibeonites, they were assigned to be servants and work under the Levites in the temple and were called the Nethinim. Now, I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with the Nethinim, but the Nethinim were temple workers. Now, were the Gibeonites the only Nethinim? We're not going to say they're the only Nethinim, but they were there and they were temple workers, correct? So let's keep going. Now, the Nethinim were non-Israelite temple servants or ministers. The Hebrew term literally means given ones, implying that they were given for temple service. Likely, many of the Nethinim were descendants of the Gibeonites, whom Joshua had constructed gatherers of woods and drawers of water for the assembly and for the Most High's altar. That is Joshua 9:23-27. Now, in 1 Chronicles 9:2, they said the first inhabitants that dwelt in their possessions in their cities were the Israelites, the priests, the Levites, and the Nethinim. So Nethinim is all over the Bible, all over Scripture in the Old Testament, okay? So here's another scripture. It says, but the Nethinims dwelt in Ophel and Zihah and Gibeah were over the Nethinims. Here's another scripture about the Nethinim. So let's continue. So they say the scholars believe that the Nethinim were absorbed into the general population or were assimilated within the Levitical tribe. I say this was the creation of the Jewish community. They were temple workers who were the Nethinims, who were the Canaanites, Joshua and David, and the princes had appointed for the service of the Levites. 220 Nethinim, all of them were expressed by name. That is found in Ezra 8 and 20. They performed the more menial work of the Levites in the tabernacles and the Levite dwellings too, and were transferred over to more menial services of the temple once it had been constructed by Solomon. Then by the time of Ezra, these Gibeonites, aka Amorites, became converts and intermarried within the Levites. They then asserted themselves into priestly class. And in closing, ladies and gentlemen, this is how the identity theft began. Okay. They had front row seats in our temples. Okay. And us being such loving people, right? They taught them, they converted. And that's what the word, and when you look at the word Israelites, they say converts are included into that name. I hope you guys are following me. Let me keep going. And if you guys have any questions, please, please say something. Please say something. So now we're going to go into these Hyksos, okay? Because this is a soft subject. This is a soft spot for me right here, guys, the Hyksos. The reason why is because many of our people actually believe that we are the Hyksos, and that is incorrect. So the Hyksos were a Semitic people whose arrival and departure from ancient Egypt has sometimes been seen as broadly parallel to the biblical tale of the sojourner of the Israelites in Egypt. It says the Canaanite population first appeared in Egypt towards the end of the 12th dynasty, 1800 BC, and either around that time. The 1720 BCE established an independent realm in the eastern Nile Delta. So right here, they're letting you know that the Canaanites, or who they want to classify as the Israelites, we know that the Canaanites were the Hyksos, but they're trying to say that the Israelites, the children, the Israelites were also those Hyksos as well. And this is not the first time I've heard this. I've heard many people say that, hey, because there's a problem. There is no real Bible. Now, according to, and if you don't, you gotta, you can't really believe what these people say. But if you read this, and this is the information that's readily available, that's why I use it, because I'm using the information for that someone would just Google and it will appear, right? And people say, well, this isn't true scholarship, this isn't true information. But the thing is for the average researcher, they're going to come across this information. And when they come across this information, this is the information that they're going to gravitate towards, because this right here gives us some type of relevance, right? It says, well, the Israelites did exist, and guess what? We were the Hyksos. Now we just placed ourselves in Egypt. No. The children of Israel, we definitely did exist, but no, we were not the Hyksos, right? We were not the Hyksos. The Hyksos actually ruled on the Egyptian throne. That is not in our history that we were ruling on anyone's throne. We know that excuse me, let me rephrase that. We do know that no one ruled on the throne, but he actually was a vizier to the Pharaoh, right? But he never really ruled on the throne. So we can't say that we actually had the throne, which the Hyksos actually usurped the Egyptians and took over and ruled over their whole empire, their whole thing. So that's not a part of our history. So even though it's an interesting history, but it's not ours. So Queen, that's something that they're actually trying to teach. I'm sorry.
So, Queen, I don't want to interrupt, but just to make it clear, the Hyksos were not the children of Israel, right?
No, they were not us, and I know that that's something that is actually being taught that they were. And the Hyksos were actually Amorites, Canaanites, right? And I'm gonna further explain. Let's just keep going, right? Let me show you. So here we got the Hyksos, right? They say dynasty of Palestinian origin. They ruled northern in the 15th dynasty, right? Now they say here Josephus himself wished to demonstrate the great antiquity of the Jews and thus identified the Hyksos with the Hebrews of the Bible. The Hyksos was, in fact, probably an Egyptian term for rulers of foreign lands, and it almost certainly designated the foreign dynasties rather than ethnic groups. Modern scholarships have identified most of the Hyksos kings' names as Semitic. So, right there, that is the encyclopedia. I mean, that is from Britannica, right? And the Britannica says it right there that Josephus himself has said that we were the Hyksos. But what is the problem? What, you know what I'm saying? You guys are like, well, Naphtali, what is the problem here? Like, this is validating us. This is giving us claim, right? This is giving us lineage that we were actually located in Egypt. Yes, that's true. We were in Egypt. However, we were actually slaves to the Hyksos in Egypt. I know, right? It sounds crazy. But that's why I mentioned to you guys earlier that there is a confederacy against us. And the Canaanites are a part of that confederacy, right? And we were slaves to the Hyksos. When the Hyksos came into Egypt, they not only ruled over the Egyptians, but they ruled over us as well. Okay. We were not ruling on the throne with them. See, when they said that there was a Pharaoh that did not know us, right? They didn't know us. We were doing great. And then here comes this new Pharaoh. And then after that, we became enslaved. And they want to say that the biblical Exodus did not happen. But the biblical Exodus, in fact, did happen. It's just that they are not either willing to give us the evidence for that, or, right? Or it just hasn't been found yet. But the Hyksos, the West Semitic rulers of northern Egypt in the late 16th century, of the biblical pharaohs and their lower class subjects, the Hebrews, here is the history behind the Exodus. So this right here is according to the Torah.com. The Hyksos were Canaanites, okay? They were Amorites, okay? We are not Canaanites. We are not Amorites. We have nothing to do with them. Remember, we're from the line of Shem. I have to remind people of that. They say, well, your father was a Hittite and your mother was an Amorite. They use that scripture because the problem is that we became one and the same with the Canaanites. We were so close to them that we took on their ways. Remember, we didn't have kings. We didn't have kings, but we begged the Most High for kings, because who had kings? The Canaanites had kings. So we wanted kings because they had kings. We stopped worshiping our God, the Most High, to worship the Canaanite gods. We kept going in and out of captivity because of the fact that we kept intermarrying and intermingling with the Canaanites. That was the problem. Okay. So that's what the issue is that now they're trying to make us seem like we're the same people. And so you're saying, well, Naphtali, then if we were not the Hyksos, then who are we? I'm glad you asked. So instead of being known as the Hyksos, we were actually called the Habiru, okay? There's actually a group of people that were actually called the Habiru, and we're going to talk about that right now. So we see the historical Israelites. They say the name Israel first appears in 1209 BC at the end of the late Bronze Age and the very beginning of the period archaeologists and historians call the Iron Age. It says on the Merneptah stele raised by the Egyptian pharaoh Merneptah, as distinct from the city's name. So this is showing us the first time the name Israel actually appears in academia. Now, they say several theories exist proposing the origins of the Israelites in raiding groups, infiltrating nomads, or emerging from indigenous Canaanites driven from the wealthier urban areas by poverty to seek their fortunes in high land. It says various ethnically distinct groups of itinerant nomads such as the Habiru and the Shasu recorded in Egyptian texts as an active in Edom and Canaan could have been related to the later Israelites. So as you see that name Habiru, and it's also Apiru, which is Apiru. And we're going to keep talking about that. So it says, it says that the majority may have had their origins in Canaan proper. It says the prevailing academic opinion today is that the Israelites were a mixture of people predominantly indigenous to Canaan. And that's absolutely okay, right? We know that the land of Canaan is where we resided, correct? So just like we are residing in the land of America, and we are Americans, but does that mean that we are the same people as the other white Americans? No, we are not. So that's the same thing that took place in the land of Canaan. We were in the land of Canaan, and technically we were Canaanites because if you want to do a general term, being named after the land, we could be named after the land. But as far as being the people this directly descendants from Ham, no. Okay, and what they have done is they have completely eliminated the Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. I mean, they eliminated them and said that they are eponymous. That they don't even exist. Okay, that their names are just utilized as names of a location. But as far as historical people, no, they did not exist. And there's a reason why for that. Because like I said, when they did their DNA analysis, it did not go back to those people. So what they did was they rewrote history essentially. But like I said, I'm talking about the Habiru. So the Habiru or the Habiru is a people known as appear in cuneiform texts dated from the 20th to the 18th centuries in southern Mesopotamia, Asia Minor, and in the Haran and the Mari areas. They are frequently mentioned in the Amarna letters, the cuneiform ideogram for the Habiru in the SAGAZ, and in Egypt text, they are also called Apiru. Now, the Ugaritic form of Apiruma, many scholars note the similarities from the forms with Heb, Ibri, and conclude that the Habiru are identical with the biblical Hebrews, right? So there you go. They conclude that the Habiru are identical with the biblical Hebrews. We do not need to have, there is evidence to support us. We do not have to come from the Canaanites. We don't have to lay me back off of what these Hyksos, and the Hyksos are the ones that actually ruled over us and had us in captivity. Now, it says here the Habiru is a more inclusive name than Israelites, is evidence from that fact. A son of Shelah and grandson of Shem, from whom the Hebrews are named, lived 8 generations before Jacob, Israel, from whom the Israelites are named. In this sense, all Israelites are Iberi, Hebrews, but not all Hebrews need not to be Israelites, which is true. Right. So in the non-biblical literature, the Near East, the Habiru appear as landless individuals who live outside the established social order. They appear as, now they're calling the Habiru mercenaries, and Newsies said they sold themselves. Now they saying that they sold themselves into slavery. That doesn't even make any sense. Who sells themselves into slavery, right? In order to earn a living. Letters from Abdi Hibah of Jerusalem to Akhenaten of Egypt complained that the Habiru were posing a threat to the status quo in Canaan. Some scholars see these references to the Canaanite version of the conquest of Canaan under Joshua. Boom, right there. These letters that they were writing about these Habiru people were actually them complaining about the Hebrews because of the destruction that they were causing, calling them mercenaries, right? Because what happened, what went down with Joshua, the conquest of Joshua, was that they went in and they were destroying the Canaanites. And they actually have actual writings. And I'm going to showcase that. We're going to get into that. So they say the Hebrew root from which the name Eber and the word Heb are derived conveys the ideas of crossing over. All right, so this is just, I got plenty more, so we're just getting started. So here we got the wicked. You want something to say? Somebody said something?
Yeah, Queen. Just was touching on the point that you're bringing out that earlier you were saying that how some of the information was trying to say that there was no evidence of our people over in these areas. But yet, just like you just read, you have things like the Armana letters and other things that actually showcase and highlight our name and our existence in those areas. It's kind of crazy how they try to in one breath say we didn't exist, but yet there's evidence from other nations that say we do.
Exactly. And that's why, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's exactly what I'm saying. There is a agenda here, guys. There is a confederacy that is taking place. This is prophesied, right? This is prophecy taking place right here. And that's why, I'm utilizing.
So is you saying, Queen, that this is a Psalms what is it, Psalms 83? Is this a Psalms 83 going on?
Which one is what Psalms 83? Recite that for me, so I make sure I know which I'm making.
Is
sure
it 83?
Confederacy.
The Confederacy.
Yes.
Yes.
The
That the name of Israel be no more in remembrance.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Yep. That's her.
1%.
Yes, and Israel would be no more in remembrance. Exactly. Thank you for that scripture. I didn't even think about that one. Yep, that's great. Yes, that is exactly what's taking place here. Because as you see, and I'm utilizing Wikipedia because I like to utilize. Now I can go into the really good, deep sources, but I like to keep things for my people who are just, we're just avid researchers, just trying to get to the bottom of things. And the information is there. You just cannot believe the status quo because they're leading you on a path. They're leading us, right? Many people believe that we're the Hyksos, right? We are not the Hyksos. In fact, the Hyksos had us in captivity. Now, this Habiru, now listen to this. It says Habiru, sometimes as Hapiru, and more accurately, Apiru, meaning dusty and dirty. So they're saying that it means dusty and dirty. They're talking bad about us, right? It's like a nickname they gave to us. So they say that they were outlaws, they were rebels, they were raiders, they were mercenaries, servants, slaves, and laborers. Okay, that sounds about. Now, as far as the mercenaries, we're going to talk about what that means further about us being mercenaries. But for the most part, yeah, we were servants and slaves to them. It says in the time of Ramsin, the Sumerians knew of a group of Aramean nomads living in the southern Mesopotamia as Sagaz, which means robbers. So they're trying to say that the Habiru were robbers. And we're going to talk about why they feel like they were robbers. Because, yeah, they were indeed robbers, but we had a good reason to be that. So it says here the term occurs it says here, not all Habiru were murderers and robbers in the 18th century BCE. They said they made peace with the warlord Shemumba and his Habiru. So, this is just a little information, but down here it says Habiru in the biblical Hebrews. The biblical word Hebrew, like Habiru, begins with the social category and evolved into the ethnic one. Since the discovery of the second millennium BCE and scriptures mention the Habiru, there have been many theories linking these to the Hebrews of the Bible. As pointed out by Moore and Kell, while the Apiru and Habiru may be related to the biblical Hebrews, they also appear to be composed of many different peoples. All right. So they're trying to say that, well, yeah, they're related to the biblical Hebrews, but they may be other people. But as you see, they always, they give us something and they always have to take it away, right? But they say right here that this is noted in the Armana letters. So let's just keep going. So here we have the conquest of Joshua as witnessed in the Armana letters. Okay, so here is the 382 Amarna tablet of the Hebrew conquest. So they were digging up this Amarna letter, and they found this cuneiform tablet. And it says here, the Habiru are now attempting to take Jerusalem. This is actually notated in this tablet. What does this mean? This means that this is evidence that the Hebrews were overtaking Jerusalem because remember, we invaded the land of Canaan and we took over the land of Jerusalem. And this right here was notated. Now, what does this mean? Why was it notated and what are the Amarna letters? The Amarna letters are actually from the Canaanites who were communicating with Akhenaten. back and forth to the Egyptians. So my thing is that this actually goes right with the conquest of Joshua when we invaded into the land of Canaan. And it's actually written right here that they were attempting to take Jerusalem, and they were complaining, and they were saying that they were robbers, that they were mercenaries, that they were, coming in and they were causing us pain and havoc. Well, that's what was written in the scriptures. What was written in the scriptures is that they were causing, they were, I hate to use the word, but they were killing a lot of the Canaanites, and that was ordained by the Most High. And it's actually found here in the Immortal Letters, and they're telling you which one it was. It was 382. Okay, so the conquest was from 1407 to 1399 BC. They said it was 8 years. And if you look here, this is a nice little breakdown of who, they said the Amorites in 1401, 1400, they did Shechem. Joshua built an altar on Mount Ebal. It says here in Shiloh, first Sabbath year. So they were just, notating and documenting all that was taking place within the conquest of Joshua, right?
Hey sis, can I just bed you back on that? Just
yeah, please.
You can find this scripturally of what she's bringing out historically in the book of Judges, chapter 1 and verse 8.
That's right. I just drank me some water. You can find that in the book of Judges. And everybody wants to turn their direction to the Hyksos, but we have all this evidence of us, sojourning into overtaking the Jerusalem. Okay, and they were called the Habiru. And we also have actual scholars who are actually linking the name Habiru to the Hebrews. And this is actually us fighting against the actual Canaanites. All right, so all this other stuff that they're trying to pass off is nonsense, and it's not biblical. It's not scripture. As you see, this account is actually scripture. Now, a little bit more information. Now, this is from encyclopedia.com. It says the Habiru could construct a grave threat to the peace. Mari, now this is also, now remember, we talked about the Armana tablets. Now we have the Mari letters, and we're going to talk about who the Mari people are. The Mari letters speak of them as endangering a city and engaging in razzias in which men and sheep are carried off. And it says the pejoratives essay gas in the Akkadian translation as robbers. So they were saying that they were endangering the city and they were robbing. And they say in the Amarna letters, to be a Habiru is synonymous with being a rebel against the Egyptian power in Palestine and Syria. It is the Habiru who are most frequently mentioned as supporters of the leaders of revolt. So there was an actual revolt taking place, guys. And that's our people. That's what we're talking about. This is evidence, like you were saying. And it says here, so we see that, and they said, so this, you guys can take some time and read this. I don't want to, drag things on. But as you see, they were talking about this was actually in the Mari letters. And if we keep going, here is Mari, Syria. And the Mari people, they were Canaanites. Okay, this was another city of the Canaanites, and they said Mari was first. They said, let me see. Here it is. Mari became the capital of the Amorite Lim dynasty. The Amorite Mari lasted only a short time before it was destroyed by Babylonia BC, but it survived a small settlement under the rule of the Babylonian and Assyrian before being abandoned and forgotten during the Hellenistic period. So right here, we see that the Mari people were indeed Amorites. They were Canaanites. So right there, the Habiru, that goes again with scripture, because we were destroying the Canaanites. Now, this was actually this is ruins of the Mari civilization, and here are the Mari cuneiform tablets. These are the real Mari cuneiform tablets, and this is the Mari. What's left of the Mari civilization doesn't look like much, but they have been excavating that area. So a lot of this is real archaeological proof, and we have the actual cuneiform tablets which speak on them, speaking on these Habiru people and saying that they were robbers, they were setting up a revolt, they were endangering their cities. They're writing in these letters and they're talking about these people. Well, who are these people? Those people are our people. Okay, they were the ones that were invading the land, and they were the ones that were causing all the problems and endangering them. Yes, they were. So I just want to talk more about the Canaanites because there are so many studies done about the DNA analysis that has been done on them. And I emphasize this because people still do not want to accept these people as being the Canaanites. I just don't know why not. They say DNA from the Bible's Canaanites lives on in modern Jews and Arabs. This is from the National Geographic. Okay. They're quoting that study in Cell. Again, we have Herrick's. This is an even more in-depth study. They say Jews and Arabs share genetic link to the ancient Canaanite. Study finds Canaanites descendants. And yeah, nothing African here, right? This is all them. They say the genetic commonalities between the modern Levantine groups and their Canaanite predecessors are strong. During the 4-year-long study, the researchers analyzed the genome of 93 people living roughly between 2500 BCE and 1000 BCE. So let's keep going with this. So they say the Saudi Arabians, the Bedouins, the Iranian Jews, and had the highest ratio, hovering around 90%. So my thing is that if 90% of your DNA goes back to something, does that not mean that's what you are? I mean, come on. They say the Jordanians and Assyrians with an 80% of ancestry share with the Canaanites. Moroccan and Ashkenazi Jews had roughly 70 and 60%. They said somewhat unsurprisingly, they said the rest of their DNA came from Europe, but they say the lowest percentage were found in who? The Ethiopian Jews. Now what does that mean? Aren't the Ethiopians supposed to be the Hamites? Aren't the Ethiopians supposed to be the ones that are, mostly Canaan or Ham or all this Hamness, Hamness. But when they did the study, they found out that the Ethiopian Jews had about 20%. They had about 20%, which makes sense. They were intermixing with them. And that's why they allowed them to be a part of their, their community, because they share DNA with them. But for the most part, if we probably go deeper into Africa, we will see that the less DNA is actually shared with them. And trust me, they don't need to claim Canaanite to claim the land. If we were indeed the Canaanites, or if the African people were indeed the Canaanites and it wasn't falling on them, they would have presented the information and the data to say that they were the Canaanites and that they indeed needed to be in captivity. So I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say about this. You guys have anything to say?
Yeah, basically that information, if I'm correct, just surfaced probably within the last 3 to 5 years as far as their descendancy to Canaan, correct? Or am I incorrect about that?
Nope, you're correct.
Okay, so most of them, like you said, are probably not too happy about that, because we know, at least according to the biblical narrative, that the Canaanite doesn't have anything positive attached to them as far as their interactions with the land, with the Most High, and with our people. So just from your research, how does that play out in real time as far as them being the descendants of the Canaanites? Does this play into the 400-year prophecy of the time of the Canaanites has to be done away with? I believe it was said in Genesis.
Yes, and I'm going to be bringing that up shortly. Yes, I will be bringing this up shortly. Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, this is some great information, sis. I'm sitting here eager. Just Continue. Just continue
Thank
because I
you.
want to hear
Thank
some more.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting back. I got my popcorn. Got me a little glass of wine. I'm sitting back, just, you know what I'm saying, just watching.
All right. Well, I'm gonna close with a bang. So,
Okay.
like I said, if they if they were going to make up numbers, they would have made up numbers to say that they were the Jews. Okay. Why would they say that? And now, as you see in modern times, now everything is linking back to the Canaanites. Everything all of a sudden is now linking to the Canaanites. Oh, the Israelites are Canaanites. Oh, this goes to the Canaanites. They just completely did a 360 on the information. They completely alienated and ignored what the biblical narrative has said about who is Shem. You know what I'm saying? Because at first they were saying that they were Shemitic, and now it's a word that is Semitic, which includes the Canaanites, right? So, I mean, it's all to fit them. It's all to fit them. So here we go. Deuteronomy 28, blessings. The blessings of Deuteronomy 28. This is and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. So according to Deuteronomy 28, the blessings, he said that you will become above all nations of the earth. So you will become the head, essentially. You'll be above all nations if you were to follow all his laws, statutes, and commandments. Now, in Deuteronomy 28:13, it says, and the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. If thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them. So right now he's letting you know that if you follow all his laws, statutes, and commandments, you will become the head, and he will do all these blessings for you. And we know those blessings actually existed, because the richest man to ever walk the face of the earth was said to be a black man, and those who know him would know him as Mansa Musa. Okay, now we understand that he converted over to go over to Islam, and that's when we became the tail. But we can talk about that another time. But as you see, the blessing is for you to be the head. Now let's take a look at Deuteronomy 28 curses. It says, now also I needed to make a valid point. So if you are the head, you will have to have a tail. The tail would be who? The servant of servants. The tail would be the Canaanites, right? Because you're the head, your servant of servants would be the Canaanites. They will be serving us. The Canaanites will serve us. If we are indeed the children of Israel, the Canaanites will be our servants according to the blessings and the curses. According to the blessings of Deuteronomy 28. Now, when we look at the Deuteronomy 28 curses, Deuteronomy 28:15, it says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of thy Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Deuteronomy 28:43 says, the stranger that is within thee shall get above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. So it looks like we just did a whole, we did a whole 180, right? It just flip-flopped. Now that we're the tail became the head. That's what that means. A lot of people want to ignore this. They want to talk about as the curses of Deuteronomy. But the thing is that so now that we're the servants of servants, don't you think that the servant of servants is now the head? Do you think the servant of servant is serving? They're not serving you anymore because you switched with them. They are now the head. And that is according to the curses of Deuteronomy. In the book of Judges 4, Canaanites ruled over the children of Israel. The Canaanites actually ruled over the children of Israel. And this is actually going with the curses and the blessings. If this is showcasing you right here exactly what I just said. It actually took place in scripture. It says, and the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord when Ehud was dead. And the Lord sold them into the hands of Jabin, the king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor, the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Hashereth of the Gentiles. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. So right there. So people want to say, oh, but that's not what that means. Well, right here we see that the Most High, he sold the children of Israel to the Canaanites, and they ruled heavily over them. Now, also the Canaanites had chariots of iron. Now let's talk about that. The Canaanites um, were blacksmiths. Okay, when they say that they were the servants of servants, they were the servant class because they were the ones that were creating the weapons. They were the ones that were creating the clothing. They were the ones that pretty much like, factories and stuff. They weren't just like any slaves. They just weren't doing it. They actually were builders. They were creators. Solomon went to the Canaanites to build the temple. Okay, so these people were very, they just weren't sitting in the dirt. Okay, they just weren't, plowing fields. They were very innovative. Remember, it says here that he had 900 chariots of iron. uh, they had really, really great infantry, military. They had very good weaponry. And remember who their God was. Their God was Baal. And when they called on their God, he actually gave them knowledge of how to do these things. We see this in the book of Enoch, how the fallen angels, they came down and they provided knowledge. Well, guess who they provided the knowledge to? They provided it to the Canaanites, because the Canaanites are the ones that actually worship them. Now, lo and behold, we eventually began to follow them because we saw all their great trinkets. But what I'm saying is the Canaanites were not these primitive people. I mean, you see from scripture, they had almost 1,000 chariots of iron. Okay. So let's keep going. And then we get to more history. We know that the cannonball, the cannonball, which is like the cannon, actually comes from the Canaanites. So they had cannons. They had all types of really extensive weaponry. You know what I'm saying? And they had it going on. Okay, and they still do. They still do. So let's keep going. So in Genesis 15:13 through 18, a lot of people like to quote this scripture, right? These scriptures. And he said unto Abram, know of surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them for 400 years. Now, this is a scripture that touches a lot of us. A lot of us say, hey, we've been in captivity for 400 years. It resonates with us. We are strangers in a land that is not ours. So it says, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge afterwards, shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace, thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again. For the iniquity of the who? The Amorites is not yet full. What does that mean? The Canaanites are mentioned right here. It makes perfect sense. If we are indeed the children of Israel, like it said in scriptures, the head will become the tail, and the tail will become the head. It matches perfectly. We see that King Jabin, the king of Canaan, he was a king of the Canaanites. He ruled over us when we see the Canaanites actually did rule over us. So there is no, oh, well, we don't know if that's true. No, we see it actually took place. Now we see that Japheth's name is not mentioned here. Gentile is not mentioned here. It's I don't know why people want to put them as Japheth. I just don't know why, but it actually mentions the Amorites. So if we are indeed the children of Israel, they are indeed the Canaanites. I mean, that's just it. I mean, it's no other explanation. Okay. Now it says, and it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp, and passed between those pieces. In the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the Euphrates. Okay. Now, so let's keep going. So they said Genesis 15 through 13 explains and it's proof that the Canaanites would no longer be in servitude under the curses of Genesis 9 as the servants of servants. Moreover, would be ruling over the children of Israel and would become the head, and the children of Israel would become the tail, as it was prophesied in the curses of Deuteronomy 28 through 68. You see, our people are out there picking cotton, right? And as you see, these people here were worshiping the god Moloch. This is them at the Bohemian Grove. So people who still want to be on the fence about who these people are, look at who they were worshiping. Out of all the gods, why are they worshiping Moloch, which is a Canaanite god? I thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for bringing me on. This concludes my presentation. If you guys have any questions, I am ready to answer them to the best of my knowledge. Okay, so let me get ready to stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, great presentation, Queen. I appreciate you bringing that information out. It was a long time coming. So basically what you brought out and what you just finished on is accurate, because if I remember correctly, they had just displayed a temple ark of Baal, I believe, in a couple of select cities around the world. Are you familiar with what I'm referring to?
Can you mention that again?
Yeah, they had unveiled a archway of the temple of Baal in a few select cities, like about 2 to 3 years ago. Are you familiar with that?
I am. I'm very familiar. Yes, I am.
All right. Are you able to kind of expound on that a little bit? Because that kind of touches on what you were just saying, as far as them being who they are, and everything is kind of manifesting in these last days of who we're around, who we've been intertwined with, and, you know, with the prophecy that you just mentioned in Genesis about the time of the Amorites. Can you expound on those archways and just the significance of all of these telltale signs coming out?
Well, see, the thing is that it's not just those archways. If you look at their overall, excuse me, I just had my mind just went blank. The overall architecture of all of their buildings, they all go back to temples that were, Baal temples. So if you look at the White House, people go back and they say, oh, but that's Esau, that goes back to Petra. But actually, Esau actually took on what the Horites had. And the Horites, if you look at scripture, were actually the Hivites, which were out of the Canaanites. And so you look at the pillars; those are called Baal pillars or Asherah poles. And Asherah is a Canaanite goddess. But like if you look at Baalbek, everything. And as a matter of fact, I can actually share my screen and showcase what Baalbek looks like. So for people who may not know, 1 second.
Yes, and as she's getting that was the temple of Baal or Baal. They showcased these temples around the year 2016. They were unveiling them in select cities around the world. And like she said, with their architecture and the Bohemian Grove and things of that nature, like she eloquently brought out, we see that the people that we are around are actually the Canaanites. I mean, they even have it in their literature and their research showing that the Arabs and the so-called Ish are genetically the descendants of the Canaanites.
That's
heavy,
right.
Heavy material.
It is heavy material, and a lot of people don't like it. I don't know why. They get very offensive. Can you guys see my screen?
No, I don't see it right now.
Oh, I think I might have shared it the wrong way.
No. There you go.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so okay. So if yep, can you guys see it? So if you look at this, this is actually Baalbek. This is actually the temple of Baal. And if you look at it, it looks like any government building. You know, they want to go back and they want to say, oh, you know, this goes back to Rome. This goes back to Greece. No, it goes all the way back to Canaan. It actually goes back to the god Baal. And they actually have a actual service in this temple every year. It's an actual service involved, actual performance, and they actually have Baal in the background of the. I have a video on it on my channel where I showcase it, and it actually occurs every year. And this actually occurs within this temple, and it's called Baalbek. And this is actually the big. This is the, you know, and this pillar is actually found all over the United States. We actually have one in St. Louis, and also in Egypt, it's called the Pillar of Pompeii. So I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna share that as well. So I'm gonna share the Pillar of Pompeii. Here it is. So you see. Oh, hold on. Let me. Did I not? There it is. Here it is. It's right here. I have to scroll down a little bit. But as you see, that's the Pillar of Pompeii. This is located in Egypt. And this actually goes back to Baal. It's gigantic. It's huge, right? So if you see this same pillar, I want to show you guys a water tower in St. They call it a water tower, but we actually have this same pillar. Let me see if I can find it for you guys. Up there it is, right there. Here it is. This is actually where I'm in St. Louis, so this is it right here. As you see, the same pillar, and this is actually a Cleopatra needle. Both of them are pillars, and this actually is a pillar as well. But as you see, this one looks exactly like the Pillar of Pompeii. And if we look at the Baalbek, right, which is in this is actually this. All these pillars are all around the temple of Baal, the temple for Baal, and these are called Baal pillars or Asherah poles. Okay, Asherah poles, and this is very important because this is it represents the groves, and they worship within the groves. So they brought the groves and they make them all around the building, like the Bohemian Grove, right? So they take these pillars, and these pillars actually represent the groves. So you know, it's not up for debate. You shouldn't be like, oh well, I don't know, I don't get it. No, the thing is that if you don't worship this God, why would you take the architecture and utilize it on all of your government buildings, all of your homes? Why would you utilize this? We know we don't see this kind of stuff in Africa. We don't see this. We don't see this. And this is to the god Baal. This is ancient. Okay. So why would you want to, you know, copy something that not important? I mean, that is not important. This is to a god. They actually were sacrificing children and all types of things in these temples. Why would you want to have anything to do with it? And they say that the Greeks were there, the Romans were there. It was called Heliopolis. They continue to worship this god over time. They just continue. It never stopped. And it actually began also with the Minoans. And if you look at where the Minoans, excuse me, if you look at the Minoans, who were also Canaanites, if you look at their, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, let me see. They had these pillars as well, as you see, but I'm trying to find the palace. I may have put the palace in there. Okay. Kenosis. Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, see that they got the same pillars. So it's not up for debate. They actually, you know, worship the Canaanite god, the Minoans, and they also have the pillars as well. And we see these, and the Minoans were all over. They were all in modern day. I mean, they were all in Spain, what we would consider to be Spain, and also were Greek. The Grecians were Crete, and all these different areas. They were where we would consider to be Europe. They weren't located in Africa. So when we follow the Canaanites, they have a presence. They have a history. They showcase where they were from. We can see it. It's not like we have to uh, make stuff up. They actually have writings. They have letters. They have cuneiform tablets. They have all types of stuff that we can review. The Canaanites actually, out of all people, have the most extensive history and background. So I don't understand why people get so confused. It's just the fact is that people don't want these people to be the Canaanites because they want to continue to cohabitate with them. They want to continue to live amongst them. They want to continue to have them in their have them part of their Israelite camps and their groups, and they make excuses for them. And the thing is that, but that's exactly what took place back in the day, and that's why we're in captivity now, So again, if there's anything else you guys want me to share, or if you got anything you want to ask me, I'm right here.
No, the brother Israel, I know you will call this caught one of his shows over here on the controversial and deep biblical breakdown series. He did a show that's like one of the top, if not the top controversial show. Who are white people / Caucasians according to the Bible, Edomites or Canaanites? And this brother, he a good friend of mine, he did 20-something years in the penitentiary, and he wasn't taught up under no camp or nothing. He just did everything himself inside there, took that Hebrew, Aramaic coordinates, stronger coordinates, and started translating every word. Every word had so many different meanings until he came up with his own translations according to the what's name. And his thing is, no, man, the Caucasians are the Canaanites. He stressed that they are the only pale people that you will see in the Bible. We know that Edom or Esau mean ruddy red or whatever, but we know a lot of it's ruddy red. That's just a red bone or Negro, my complexion, or a brown skin.
That's
Negro.
right. That's
What
right.
I'm saying? What I'm saying, man, look at that old red. Don't say, a bunch of niggas in the hood you call red. Red. He might be bright red, or he might be, brown red.
They call that ruddy.
Yeah. So this is a good, conversation that needs to be had in the community. You know what I'm saying? Who is the Canaanites? Who is white people? Y'all want to know so bad. They are, when we look at this Bible, me personally, I see where you had Esau braided in with some Canaanite women. Now, was the women white Canaanite women? Then he mixed in with the Japhets. Then, if you believe in the book of Enoch, Jasher, and Jubilees, they might have mixed in with the fallen angels. And Blase, he's a bastard ass seed. I tell you what, you know what I'm saying? But the Canaanites, there's the only people I see that's in the Bible so far. Unless y'all can show me somebody else that's pale. And we know what that pale is, that leprosy. But I just had a comment. That was it. Oh, well, definitely might have to get you to do a show on the same thing. Who are these white Caucasian people? Because the white Caucasian people, believe it or not, they are one of the top watchers of that show. They love that show, man, for some reason, because they want to learn. Half of them know already, but they want to, because they want confirmation. If us Negroes know, who are they? But
You're bringing it out. You're doing a great job. People don't want to accept the truth. They, one thing about it is they get up there, they talk about, oh, well, Japheth is white, and I say, okay, well, how? And then they go, okay, so Japheth by himself was the first, or Esau, right? Esau was the first white man, but everybody else is black. How do you remain white? I mean, how do you do that? You know, we're supposed to be the dominant gene, as well as they say, well, Japheth is albino. He was albino. Well, albinism is race, it's dictated by race. You can't change your race. There are black albinos and then there are white albinos. Okay, so your race does not change. We can phenotypically see that even though your skin has changed to a pale color, we still see that you are black. And guess what? You still can
Exactly.
produce black offspring.
Exactly. They see they want to bunny hop around all that. They just do the bunny hop. They bunny hop all around that. There's white albinos and there's black or Negro albinos. There's Caucasian albinos, we would say, and Negroes. You could tell the difference. You watch the damn movies all the time, Negroes. You see them old chocolate, damn white, them milky white Caucasians, and then you see the milky white Negroes, albinos. So there's albinos in both. So, you know, but the phenotype is still there. You can look at them. That hair is still the damn same. That hair ain't gonna change.
That's right.
That nose and lips ain't gonna change.
No,
It's
and then
still a
they'll have
Negro or
children
it's still a
darker than me
Caucasian.
and you. And they'll have children
Right.
darker than me and you. And the thing is
Right.
that they go around and and you know, I watch their videos and they talk about, oh, I'll get into how they became white. It's like, no, that's the most important thing, because the thing is, like, we know that the Canaanites mixed with with some other type of people, right? And like you said, the fallen angels, or we see something going on in their genetics. We see that they are like with the Amalekites, for instance. Their name actually means one who licks blood. Okay, so we know that there's some kind of subhuman species or something going on with a lot of these people's genetics, that's back in. We see giants, we see all of that, and people want to say, oh, well, that's allegorical. But the thing is that if you really know science, then you know that there is a group of subhuman species by the name of Denisovans, okay, Denisovans, and there's also the Neanderthals. So there are things in this rhesus monkey DNA, right? And we know that the Denisovans, they found, you know, parts of their skulls, and they found their fingertips and all this. I mean, a finger, and they say it's giant. They found the jaw bones, they found the tooth, and they say it's way bigger than the average human's tooth. And the jawbone, just the size of it, looks like it's the size of a person's whole skull. So the thing is that we understand that giants did exist. They're called Denise. They can be Denisovan. They were a subhuman species. And the thing is that we see science is is correlating to what the scriptures say. But these people, they don't want to admit to the truth. And that's why, you know, people like us, we're willing to do it, even though we get shamed and we get ostracized for it. But hey, somebody has to produce the truth. These people they telling you who they are. They've been telling you who they are, but we turn a blind eye because we don't want to believe it. We don't want to, even though it proves who we are. It's interesting.
So would you say that the Arabs who is the Edomites that the Bible speaks of?
Well, when it comes to the Edomites, I believe that Esau was indeed a black man. Okay. Now he did mix with the Canaanites, and like you said, like I said, the Amalekites. But he did mix with the Ishmaelites. So there's a branch there that could possibly still be black. But when you get into these Arabs, they're Canaanites. Okay, they're not Shemitic, they're Canaanites as well. Because we looked at the DNA analysis that they did. It says the Bedouins, the Arabs, all of them over there, upwards of 90% or more. You know, because they have an error, you know, an error of -3 or plus or minus, right? So if you add 3 or if you take away, they're upwards of 95% of their DNA is Canaanite. How much more DNA do you need to say that you are a people? It's my question.
Right. And also, just to segue onto that, I know you are a proponent for the extra biblical sources like the Book of Jubilees. When you read in chapter 20 of the ancient Book of Jubilees, verses 12 and 13, it tells you that the Ishmaelites and the Midianites, and all the other tribes, Edom, all mixed in those areas, and they were known as the Arabs, which substantiates that research that the Arabs and the so-called Jewish people over there are the same people with the same DNA. Even in this book called The Historical Geography of Arabia, or the Patriarchal Evidences of Revealed Religion, I quote, "It remains now to show that the Edomites, or the descendants of Esau, can with equal clearness be traced everywhere throughout Arabia, intermingled with both the Abrahamic stocks." So, like you said, they know this information. They know who they are. They've done a diligent record keeping with tracing the lineages, the migration, things of that nature. So they know that all of these tribes predominantly were still in these areas, intermingling amongst each other, and they just put a broad term. And then when you read into the scriptures, it tells you that because Israel didn't get rid of the Canaanites out the land, that they were still in the land. So if all the Abrahamic stocks are intermingling, then it's safe to say for a certainty that the Canaanite stock was mingled in amongst the Abrahamic stocks also, which is why you see Esau marrying, Canaanite wives. You even had, I believe, Judah had married a Canaanite wife at one time. So they have evidences of these things going on, and we're seeing it historically. So, those terms, we have to get away from those terms, because this is kind of the hijack. When they say Arab, they try to make it seem like it's a one person, just like when they say the Jewish, they make it seem that this is just a certain particular ethnic group, when in actuality, they're a mixture of these Canaanites with some subclades of Edom, Ishmael, and so forth.
So that was well said. Yes. And also we got to talk about Esau again with the dukes. Okay. So we know that the current royal dukedoms are in order of precedence of their holders. That is not in order of precedence of their dukedom. So there's the Duke of Cornwall, England, Duke of Rothesay, Scotland, and the Duke of Cambridge, and is held by Prince William and the Duke of Sussex and all of that. So we know about all these dukes. But when you look at scripture, and a lot of the camps, they like to talk about, when Esau is with the dukes. But when you read in Genesis, what is it, 30? Is it 36? I believe. You read further, you'll start to see that the Horites were the dukes. They actually had dukes. The Horites is where the dukes came from, and they, Esau took a wife of Seir the Horite. The daughter of Seir the Horite, Zibeon, right? Zibeon's daughter Anah. And she was a Horite. And when you look at the Horites were dukes. They actually got that name Duke from the Horites. So with that being said, they were all mixed with these Horites, these Canaanites, because a Horite is a Hivite. Okay, so that needs to be said. And I break that down in one of my videos. So all of it is going back to Canaan. The dukes, Petra, all of it goes to the Canaanites. It does not go to Esau. Esau took that by marriage, and then remember, the Most High gave Esau the Horites land. They built that for themselves. Esau didn't build that. He didn't construct that, and it had Baal pillars all around it. So, it's just something to think about.
Now, do you think that the deflection is because, like you mentioned earlier, in the Israelite community, we have a big understanding of the Esau Edomite situation amongst our people? Do you think that whole thought process is put to the forefront to kind of mask the whole undertone of the Canaanites and, just their interaction behind the scenes? Because I always thought, when I read the scriptures, and if people are reading their Bible, I would have to think that they would be asking these questions, at least to themselves, is that whatever happened to the Canaanites? Because it tells you that if we didn't get rid of them, the Most High said that if we continue to marry them, if we continue to interact with them, they would be thorns in our sides, and until we were destroyed out of the land. And then you have the prophecy in Genesis where it said until the 400 years of the Amorites is done. Why isn't the Canaanite conversation a bigger conversation within the Israelite community?
Yeah, yeah. You know, the problem is that they don't want to let go. You know, they love them. You know, and they like to say that. You know, when we look at it, like the slaves' Bible, right? They talk about the slaves. They talk about how they gave us the Bible. When you talk to the atheists and whatnot, and they say that, oh, well, they brainwashed us with this Bible. And the thing is that when you look at the Bible that they utilized, it removed 80% of the Old Testament. So they only utilized a little bit of the Bible, and then they practically probably filled it with their own rhetoric. But the point of the matter is that a lot of these camps they worshiping Baal themselves, right? They're actually worshiping Baal themselves. They ignore the fact, like I remember hearing Sakari, for instance, they were saying that, oh, you know, these Native Americans, Hispanics, they've always worshiped the Most High. How is that possible when they were worshiping, you know, Quetzalcoatl, right? And they say, well, Quetzalcoatl goes back to Christ. How? They were sacrificing sacrificing people until the sun went up, sacrificing for the sun to go down. They were drinking blood, all types of things. But you know what they do? They make excuses for it. The number one thing is that in Africa, there is, you know, some form of, you know, human sacrifice that probably does take place, but it's not on the level as to what was taking place there. And then what they did was they did some form of animal sacrifice, but that goes back to the, you know, back to the god Baal as well. And I'm going to be doing a breakdown of how Baal is all over the place, how he's coordinated with Quetzalcoatl, how he coordinates with Kukulkan, how he coordinates with Odin, how he coordinates with this Cesare Borgia character. Like he is all over the place. He also is with Osiris and also Amun Ra. Now, what people fail to understand is that when it comes to Shem, see, Shem is actually an enemy of Shem. Shem does not get along. If we look at how Esau, who was Shem, he did not get along with Jacob. If we look at the Moabites, who were Shem, they did not get along with each other. We look at all the Shemites, they're the ones that actually have the problem. And that's what we're seeing in Africa. We're seeing the Shemitic people have issues with Shemitic people. It's Shem on Shem crime, right? But as far as they talk about the Hamites, we love the Hamites. What are you talking about? We love the Canaanites. We never had a problem with the Canaanites. We never had a problem. We love them. You know, like you said, Jake, and we see that Judah took a Canaanite for a wife. You know, everybody at least had a Canaanite or half Canaanite. Even Abraham, you know, Qatar was half Canaanite. You know what I'm saying? So everybody was marrying the Canaanites. It's just the fact is that they want to act like the Canaanites are these people in Africa, but then why aren't we marrying them today? You can't stand them. We don't have anything to do with these people. It actually goes along with Shem. That goes with Shem. Shem doesn't like each other. We saw what's his name? Jonah, right? Jonah was supposed to go give the word to Nineveh, which is Shem. He refused to. He rather died. So and he was on a boat full of Canaanites. Go ahead and read that. It's really interesting. But but I digress.
Yeah, they was all around us, weren't they? intertwined in. Yes, sis. I mean, are you going to do any further breakdowns on this subject? Because now that you put it out there, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot of, naysayers, and there's going to be a lot of people that's in agreement. So are you going to do any further breakdowns on this topic or no?
Yeah, it's a continuous thing. You know, it's a it's a continuous ordeal. You know what I'm saying? I have to continuously bring it out. There's tons of information. So yeah, I'm gonna, like I said, I have to continuously talk about this because it's not talked about enough, you know. And that's one of the main reasons why I came out. Is because I'm like, hey, we need to get to the bottom of this. We need to know that these people are indeed the Canaanites. Not only are they providing you with their DNA, but you look at where their temples, they look just like Baal's temple. They worship in groves. Okay, like if you go to your different, like where I live, we got the Tower Grove Park. We got all types of, uh, the groves. Like everybody looks at Hollywood and they go like, oh my goodness, they look at the Illuminati, look at what they're doing, look at how they're doing all these things. But then when you say this goes back to the Canaanites, people go like, oh well no, that's not them, that's their Japheth. And it's like you just don't want them to be it. And it's either the Most High, do you care about the Most High, which we clearly did not. We clearly chose the Canaanites over the Most High every time, because if we did do right, we never would have went into captivity in the first place.
Right.
And that's a fact.
There was a question in the chat from a Eric Bond. I don't know if this has any relevance to tonight's topic, but because I did ask the chat if they had any questions, I will respectfully read this question to you. He asked Deuteronomy 23:7, Naphtali, thoughts on that verse. And that verse reads, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land.
He wants to know my thoughts on that.
Yes, and that's why I preference. I don't know what grounds or what relevance it had for tonight's topic, but
I know Eric. I know Eric. I've seen him before. So, Eric, Deuteronomy 23, and you said shall not abhor an Edomite or an Egyptian. There is no problem with the Egyptians. We see that Abraham was with Hagar. Okay. There is no problem with the Egyptians. The only problem comes into play is when you get into it with these Canaanites. That's when the issue becomes an issue. Everybody wants to talk about the Hamites. Oh, the Hamites this, the Hamites that. When you really go back and you actually care about history, you actually review the history, you review the data, you will see that the Canaanites were ruling on everybody's thrones. The Babylonians, everybody talks about this is Babylon. They talk about this is Babylon. Who does Babylon go back to? It goes back to the Amorites. I mean, like every time I hear like, oh, this is Babylon, and it's like, well, Babylon goes back to the Amorites. The Amorites ruled in Babylon. That was their area. Okay, that was their land, and that's who they were. So the Amorites, all they did was come over here, which is where the name America comes from. By the way, it actually comes from Amorites. So I don't know what more do people want. I don't know. But yeah, I agree with the scripture. Do not abhor Edomites. So yeah, there are some Edomites that probably are still, that are still black. But we know that the Amalekites, there's something wrong with them. But he could have been also speaking for a particular time as well. So
okay, yeah. Eric Bond said, just asking, that's all. Shalom, no ill will. Proverbs 27:17. Thanks for answering, Naphtali. And yeah, and I just said that just due to, we have to be kind of cautious with some, not these commenters tonight, but, there do be commenters on people's various platforms that be kind of trolling. So that's the reason why I preference that. But we appreciate the question, brother. And definitely appreciate the answer that she gave to the question.
Yeah, this was a really, really, really good and edifying show. If there's any more questions out there, put it out there now. Forever hold your peace. We're going to try to close out here. Final thoughts, Queen Naphtali. Give us what you want. In 30 seconds, tell us what you wanted us to get out of this show tonight.
Yes, guys. So those of you that came on over, thank you so much and for tuning in. If you missed the presentation, go back and listen to it. If you have any questions, I'm always willing to answer. I'm still at, you say, are you going to continue to teach this? Yes, I am. I'm just still at square one. I haven't been able to get to the next square because people still are um, having a hard time to grasp it. And I'm trying to think of ways to be more creative to provide the information to the people. So all I do is I just need people to let me know what is wrong or what is missing so that I can try to expound further because like I said, I have so much information. Um, the Canaanites, were they originally black? Yes, everybody was originally black. That is a fact. So, I'm not trying to say that all the Canaanites started off white. No, I'm not. I do not say that. Canaanites were originally black. We see the Minoans who were melanated people. Now, were they black like us? Just because you're melanated doesn't mean that you're a Negro or, you know what I'm saying, like us. But they were a melanated people. So, again, reach out to me. I'm on Instagram, Naphtali Hoda. I'm on Facebook, Naphtali Israel. Leave me a message if you got any questions. I will be doing a live video soon on breaking down Baal worship around the world. And thank you all so much for having me on. I had a great time.
Yep. Thank you, Queen. Appreciate you coming on, blessing the platform with the information. As always, it was a pleasure. We'll definitely be looking out for more of the information and other topics that you bring out as usual. Hilltop, you over there having technical difficulties?
Yeah, man. I don't knock myself out the whole damn thing. I said, damn. Hold on. Go ahead, brother.
But yeah, I'm gonna just close out and say, like I said, I was just thanking the Queen for coming over, thanking everybody that joined us tonight on the platform, everybody that was in the chat. Just like Nguzu Saba said, it's always good to enjoy learning from healthy discussions. That'd be the base of this platform, man. We want to be able to bring the information unbiased to the people from various brothers and sisters who are doing the research, they're doing the studies, and they can come over here unhinged and release the information and allow you to make a educated discernment on what you hear. Hopefully it provokes the thought of the brothers and sisters that's out there listening to go and research. That really be the key. Go and research. Don't take anybody's word as gold or the word of God. You got to go out and do the research. The purpose is to get the information, go back, fact check it, and then come back to the table, edified from that. So once again, thank you, Queen Naphtali. Thank everybody that came over tonight. And, most high willing, we'll see y'all again with another power-packed presentation with deep biblical breakdowns and controversial topics.
Con. And don't y'all forget, every Saturday we have the controversial and deep. Well, no, excuse me. Every Saturday we have the Scoring Black Man podcast series. Every Saturday, noon. 12 noon Eastern time. Okay, 12 noon Eastern time. We know time will be changing again, but it'll still be 12 noon Eastern time. So please tune in, support the Scoring Black Man podcast series. We got some great topics, and you're welcome to come on. We open the platform up very early for everybody to get their 2 cents in. So Saturdays, make sure you tune in every Saturday at noon Eastern. And until the next controversial and deep biblical breakdown series, who will it come from? We don't know. But Queen Naphtali brought the pain tonight. And for all y'all out there, we want y'all to, if y'all tuned in late, go back and watch this from the beginning. Share with family and friends and people of like mind. Once again, this is controversial and deep biblical breakdown series sponsored by the Scoring Black Man podcast. Queen Naphtali, the differences between the Israelites and the children of Israel. It's been a pleasure, Queen, once again. Thank you for blessing us with this wonderful breakdown. Hopefully we could get you on here again. And maybe we could get another the white man is Canaan. They love that right there. Brother Israel show is doing numbers on it. It picked up kind of late, but they love that right there. So that's a good topic. But
What's his channel called? What's his channel called?
It's on here. It's called Who Are White People / Caucasians According to the Bible, Edomites or Canaanites. And you will see the wild Neanderthal as a thumbnail.
I'm gonna check it out. Okay.
Yeah,
and
that brother there.
Dope if we could get everybody that be bringing that information just on the panel at one time and just have a discussion about it. You know what I'm saying? Just tossing ideas around.
You know what? We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. On Controversial and Deep Biblical Breakdown series, we're gonna have Queen Naphtali back. We're gonna have Brother Israel, aka Fred Jackson, and some other people that believe that the white man is Canaan. They're Canaanites, not Edomites. That's gonna be great. A great discussion. But until next time, we're not gonna hold y'all up. Love, peace, and hair grease to all of y'all. Shalom. Share. Hit the subscribe button. Good night. Shalom.
Judah.